Imagine this. A poor shepherd boy, covered in dust, standing on a mountain, gazing at the kingdom below. No one pays him any attention. He's just a boy with a stick, guiding his sheep. But what if I told you that this very boy would one day sit on a golden throne ruling the land? Sounds unbelievable, right? But greatness often begins in the most unexpected places. Stay with me, because what happens next will shock you. Have you ever felt like life is unfair? That no matter how hard you try, the world refuses to see your worth? Well, our story today is about a boy who had nothing, yet became everything. So, how did a shepherd rise from the fields to the throne? Let's begin. In a quiet countryside, where the golden wheat fields stretched as far as the eye could see, lived a boy named Samuel. Samuel wasn't born into royalty. In fact, he was just a poor shepherd, tending to a flock of sheep that weren't even his own. And let me tell you, being a shepherd, not as peaceful as it sounds. One day, as Samuel rested under an old oak tree, he heard a rustling behind him. He turned, expecting to see one of his sheep stuck in a bush again, because, let's be honest, sheep are not the smartest creatures. But this time, it wasn't a sheep. It was a man, a mysterious man cloaked in a long robe staring straight at him. "Are you Samuel?" the man asked in a deep voice. Samuel blinked. Last time I checked, yeah." The man stepped forward. "You are destined for greatness." Samuel laughed. "Right, and my sheep are destined to win a spelling bee." The man wasn't joking. He placed a hand on Samuel's shoulder and whispered words that sent chills down his spine. "One day, you will wear the crown, but first, you must prove you are worthy. Now, if someone told you that you'd be king one day, what would you do? Celebrate? Tell everyone? Start practicing your royal wave?" Not Samuel. He just shook his head and went back to his sheep. "Yeah, sure, mister. Let me know when my palace is ready." Little did he know, the test had already begun. A few days later, as Samuel was guiding his flock through the valley, a storm rolled in. Dark clouds swallowed the sky. The wind howled like a wild beast. And then, the worst happened. A giant wolf appeared. Not just any wolf. This one was massive, eyes glowing like fire, fangs sharp as daggers. The other shepherds, they ran. The sheep, they scattered. And Samuel, he stood his ground. Heart pounding, he gripped his wooden staff. "All right, big guy, let's dance." The wolf lunged. Samuel dodged. It was a battle of speed, courage, and sheer willpower. And just when it seemed like the wolf would tear him apart, Samuel did something unexpected. He roared. Not out of fear, but out of defiance. And the wolf, it froze. Then slowly it backed away before vanishing into the forest. The other shepherds returned, jaws on the floor. "How did you do that?" Samuel shrugged. "I guess I'm just good with animals." But deep down, he knew. Something had changed. He wasn't just a shepherd anymore. Word spread, first through the villages, then through the cities. A shepherd who could command a beast? That was no ordinary boy. The king himself heard the tale, and guess what? He wasn't happy. Because when a commoner becomes a legend, the throne starts to tremble. One night, Samuel received a message, a challenge. The king's warriors wanted to test him, and so he was summoned to the royal palace. Would you accept the challenge, or would you run? Samuel didn't hesitate. He took a deep breath and stepped into the grand halls of the palace, where his destiny awaited. Inside, a massive knight in armor stood before him, holding a gleaming sword. "If you are truly worthy, face me." Samuel had no armor, no sword, just his shepherd's staff. The knight charged. Samuel sidestepped, moving like the wind. The crowd gasped. Again the knight swung. Again Samuel dodged. And then, with one swift move, Samuel tripped the knight, sending him crashing to the ground. Silence filled the hall. Then, applause. The king rose from his throne. Courage, wisdom, strength. You have the heart of a leader. And with that, Samuel was no longer a shepherd. He was a prince. Years passed. Samuel became king, a ruler who understood the struggles of the common people, a king who never forgot where he came from. And that, my friends, is how a shepherd became a legend. So what's the lesson here? Greatness isn't about where you start. It's about how you rise. No matter how small or ordinary you feel today, remember, your story isn't over yet. Who knows? Maybe you are the next legend in the making. If this story inspired you, hit that like button and tell me in the comments, what's your dream? Let's talk about it. Until next time, keep chasing greatness.